Good evening, everyone. I'm Rakhi Gautam from greytHR, the moderator for the session today. I welcome you all today to our 67th Ask the Expert webinar, Parichay. The topic for today is Employee Experience in 2024, Trends and Priorities. Now, before I dive into the topic, let's do a little housekeeping on how the session goes. So the session is divided into two parts. The first part will be the discussion with our expert, which will then be followed by an audience Q&A. Audience Q&A is where time is all yours. You can put across your questions and we will take them up. Also, the session is currently being recorded. So if you happen to miss out on anything, do not worry at all. We have got you covered. We will share the recording with you once it is done. And also, this session will be uploaded on our greytHR official YouTube channel. So you can always go there and watch it. Now, without any further delay, let's start the session. In today's fast-paced and ever-evolving professional landscape, the employee experience plays a key role in organizational success. I'm sure you would agree with me on that. So as we step into the future, it's crucial for businesses to stay ahead of the curve and adapt to the ever-changing needs and expectations of their workforce. In this session today, we will explore the latest trends and priorities that will shape the employee experience in 2024, providing valuable insights for organizations striving to create a workplace that fosters engagement, productivity, and overall satisfaction. Now, there's a lot of things that we are going to discuss today. And to decode all of that and share his insights, joining us today is Mr. Viekas K. Khokha, Chief Human Resource Officer, Sharda Motors Industry Limited. Let me quickly take you all through his profile. He has a rich experience of 25 years spreading across 5 industries, including office automation, telecommunications, healthcare, chemicals and fertilizers, and auto ancillary. Vikas is currently the SVP and CHRO with Sharda Motors Limited, where he's channelizing their people and culture transformation agenda through organization design, talent transformation, new ways of working, technology immersion, to name a few. In the past, he has served some industry leaders like Bharti Airtel Limited, Zimmer Biomet India, and Dhanuka Agritech. Once again, I welcome you, Vikas, and we're very excited for the discussion today.
Thank you. Thanks, Rakhi, for bringing me here.
Glad to have you join us. So now I think we can start with the session. I have a few questions with me, for you, in fact. To start off with, since we are going to discuss about employee experience, I think, this has always been a talk of, the panels that we have or some regular conversations that we do with our colleagues over a cup of coffee as well. Employee experience has always been there. But I think what we have observed is post-pandemic, there has been a tremendous shift. There has been so many conversations, there has been so many new strategies coming in to focus more on employee experience. So according to you, what do you think? How has employee experience evolved in the recent years?
Rakhi, it's a very interesting conversation and the question because when I look at it, it's actually changed 360 degrees. Now, as you talk of the cup of coffee, reminded me of the age-old coffee I used to have when 2 decades back I was in an organization, and today there is a demand of a coffee machine with multiple flavors of coffee and teas to be vending out, right? And the choice that people have has tremendously changed the way organizations have to think, and that's where the experience is. Earlier, I'm just scaling my memory back, and a lunch or a dinner or a drink invitation by the management to people was a kind of a delight for people because they wanted to be part of, to converse with management, be more closer to them, and obviously share a good dinner or a drink. Things have changed so much, and now you, before calling people, you need to check that I hope we are not intruding in their me time, you know And irrespective of a dinner or a drink, is it somewhere intruding into their time? That, and it's a complete change of how people want. And these are very basics. I'm going from the basic mass flows of, it's my time. I want to spend the time with my family. Is organization able to give that time to me, for me to do that, what I want to spend this time, and I have the authority on the time. I think that's a first change of experience which has come in. And as leaders, we start respecting that, and there is a sense of request. Are you free during this time? And rather than just a statement like, we are meeting at this time. So I think that the questions have changed, you know, in terms of what people expect. I'm taking this me time ahead in terms of people's work life. And I think the concept of work life really defines the kind of experience that you bring in for an employee. Now, work life earlier was more to do with the office life and home life. It has really expanded beyond, and thanks to social media, that people have got into their hobby clubs. And I remember in my last organization, there was a young lady in my team who had taken up a bike trip to Ladakh, and she wanted to have that sense of leave and to be with that group and to experience all that. I think as a leader, I had to co-own that, right, with her, without only looking at it as a chunk of leaves that she's offering. She's asking for her time to be spent where her passion lies. And if I partner with her, I'm with her. If I'm not, then I, as an organization, you know, there's a distance. So I
Super
think you can clearly see where the experience is moving, and moving from just, that office timings and off timings to another passion that people want to take it at a completely different level. I in various ways, I saw virtual groups connecting and physical groups connecting. We did discuss about a lot of changes in what people expect, from their leaders, managers, and experiences, not only in terms of what you define is, is tangible for people. There's a lot of intangibles about experience, right? Uh, how much micromanagement is done, in the area of their works, because I am the boss of my work. If you give me the work, I can do that. Versus, I'm being micromanaged to a very large activity based management. I think moving out from the activity based management to the project based management, output based management, coaching, guiding, mentoring, and reviewing are constantly the threads that you need to catch to control. The control factors which managers uh, you know, have to experience now are different than the control factors earlier. Earlier, it was input controls. Now it's output controls. Now it's even difficult to control an output without controlling an input, right? But constant reviews and constant engagement with people at various stages could help you do that. I'm also looking at experience in terms of respect. And I use this word respect because I saw first time when I was working in Bharti Airtel, I saw this respect as one of the values we used to use. Uh, it was a value, but we had to coach our leaders to actually be respectful to people in terms of what tone that they use, what kind of words that they use with people, right? And again, be sensitive to the kind of backgrounds that people are coming from, right? Uh, Slangs relate to a particular sect or community had to be avoided. So all that has collapsed and changed into respect, which is a demand for employees today. It's I mean, I recently saw in one of the organization there was a herd of attrition amongst the junior level staff, and people just left in about 30 days time. It's an early attrition. We always categorize it as bad hiring, right? If people leave in 30 days. But I think the whole experience part, if it's a gap, it really creates that bed, where people just jump and move out, and it need not be only bad hiring. It could be bad management in terms of what people get to experience when they come in the organization, especially in terms of language, tone, voice, uh, words. A lot of things create that experience, right?
Definitely. So, as you said, what I can gather from, this, thank you for setting up the context, because when we talk about employee experience, we get so much into, productivity engagement that we sometimes forget the basics of it. People want to be treated with respect. They want to, before there was no conversation as DEIB, diversity, inclusion, equity, at, belongingness at workplace. But now we have seen there has been so many conversations about how do we make people feel that they're valued at their workplace? How do we make them feel that they belong to a particular organization? And for that to happen, of course, there are various strategies that our HR team works on. But as you also mentioned about at managerial level also, close team members, they should also have that, feelings imbibed. The manager should be very empathetic towards his or her teammates, that okay, this is how you can do it. Or they work life balance, this wasn't something that we would heard about previously a decade back. It was okay, today is my work, 5 days a week I work, and okay, I have 2 days off, that's it. But now with work life balance and with remote working coming into picture, there has been a lot of shift, the way we work, the way we think, the way we conduct ourselves. And it's not, when we say employee experience, it's also the experience. It's of course employee experience which the organization provides, but organization itself has to have its own kind of experience, right? When I connect with, when I join an organization, if I don't feel valued, if I feel like okay, my onboarding process wasn't that great, there was no helping hand, there was no mentor, there was no buddy, so I would obviously feel very confused and I will leave within 30 days, because the kind of experience that I was looking for, this organization did not give me. So thank you so much for setting up the context. And three takeaways that I will take from this answer was, of course, work life balance has gotten a lot of importance in the recent years. There has been a lot of importance for DEIB also, how we make our employees feel valued. And of course, there's employee engagement. When we give, it shouldn't be okay, I'm giving you work, my manager has given me something, I have to deliver by hook or crook. It shouldn't be like that. If there has to be collaboration between the teams. If I am not aware about something, my my manager should bring in some L&D strategies for me, some tools that I can engage with, that would enhance my experience, make me upskill myself, and of course overall contribute to the experience that we have. So thank you so much, Vikas, for setting that up. I'll move on to my next question, which is, we talked about how employee experience has evolved and the basics of it. But since we are just at the beginning of 2024, what are the trends that you see? You have already talked a little about that, but if I have to ask you, okay, give me your go-to trends, which will definitely be the deciding factor of employees and their experiences in 2024, what those would be?
See, uh, I think the first trend that I see is primarily into uh, co-creation of goals, because uh, gone are the times, and again, I'm going back because we are comparing from past to present and future. We used to have a downloading exercise of what top management goals are, and then you start creating your goals, and that was also one of the help we used to give to the people to create their goals. But today, I think the work-based environment is such that we need to co-create goals. We need to sit together, understand future, work backwards, and organization help people to co-create the goals with their managers and the management. Broad goals of the organization are co-decided, and then different levels of people, they sit together and decide and co-create their objectives and goals for that year. So I think that is one emerging trend which is practically observed in organizations as I am sitting on the last quarter now. We are working on getting our people down the line to work with us to create the goals for 24-25. And this co-creation also helps us to sketch our business strategy for next 3 years. You know, thread it out, so that this year doesn't look so different than our, next 3 year goals is, so everything is stitched together. We looked at, what support areas we need from cross-functional teams, whose leaders are also present there. And the best part about this co-creation exercise is that we develop the second line, people to start thinking the way top management is thinking and, get groomed. And this is a true way to groom people, put them into these projects and groom people for the next level. That's one trend. Second, I'm definitely taking forward the digital experience ahead, because technology has brought in a lot of, tools in front of us. Today, at the touch of the button, we can have data, we can have a lot of analytics, again, data analytics is there. The decision making basis that data and customization of that data to help us to take faster decisions is now call of the day, where we are actually looking at what is required, what can be customized more and can be used better. So a lot of uh, AI tools are being worked on today, and we are looking at innovatively in the market which tools can help us to take decisions fast. It's moving ahead from that data analytics and moving towards decision making basis that data. Even that is now getting dependent on digital technology, because we are making people more and more aware of all these tools, and helping them to take faster decisions so that business controls could be faster. In any case, Raki, it's going to lead to a better output and productivity. So if you see the GDP growth, a chunk of GDP growth in enormous industries is going to come from faster decision maker, agility, and obviously removing all those errors and biases when used to deal with data. I think you're moving quite ahead of that. Third, you did touch upon diversity inclusion. I'm also taking it to the next level of making organizations more diverse savvy. We may talk about diversity, but we really feel that rarely organizations were inclusive. I'm also talking of an MNC versus an Indian organization which is a proprietary organization, and others. There are different stages on which you are operating. You may still want to hire diverse workforce. You don't know how to retain them. You don't know how to create that work culture. So work culture to be able to assimilate a diverse portfolio of talent is today, a talk of the town, which I see the trend going forward. Indian organizations, I'm working for one, are definitely talking of this as one of the core aspects. Yes, it has to be brought concretely on the business strategy, which will also happen eventually.
Sure. Thank you so much for that, Vikas. So, three trends that you spoke about. One, of course, is making the employee feel how they contribute to the overall organizational goals. I can be assigned a task, but if I don't know, okay, how is it impacting the overall success of our organization, the objectives that we have at hand, I will not be able to do justice to that work. So, it's very important that we have that collaboration between teams, between managers and the team members, where they know, okay, this is why, this is XYZ, how I contribute to this particular objective of this level at my organization. So definitely one is that, because when we know this is my work, I will be able to do justice to that. I'll feel more connected to my work. There will be more job satisfaction, so that will obviously impact my employee experience positively. Second, you touched upon the technologies. Of course, we can never get tired, or we can never get out of, we can never not have conversations about technology these days. It's like there's so many new technologies coming up, and even if you are a manufacturing company, or you are a building materials company, there is technology involved at certain level in your organization. So it's very important that we, as an organization, also provide that kind of opportunities for employees to upskill themselves to be at par with the technologies that are emerging here. And third, of course, work culture, DEIB, that we spoke about. It's been there. It should have been always there, but I think, yeah, now it's gaining more importance. And because we see now, when we started in India also, there were few companies. We were domestic companies, so we will not have many operations out of India also. And within India also, it should be just maybe it would mostly be in one state, so we know, okay, the same people, the same culture, the same language. But now industries, companies are also growing. There's more opportunity. So there are a North Indian or and a South Indian collaborating together. Now we have to ensure that they have the best experience, and not just South, North, West India. It's also outside India. How do I make somebody who's sitting in Dubai feel valued at my workplace and feel connected? There are going to be a lot of cultural not differences, but yes, a lot of cultural diversity, and we have to ensure that they are all bind together. Diversity in unity in diversity, the logo of India. So thank you so much for all the trends that you shared, and I'm sure everybody would agree with us on that. So now we have talked about some trends that will have the most importance in 2024. But of course, having said that, there's a lot that we have seen about remote working now into the picture. So before I ask you that question, I want to launch this poll for the audience, so that we also understand, how many of them feel that their job satisfaction, if they are working from home or it's remote work, if they feel it's contributing positively, negatively, or just a neutral. So I'll launch the poll now, and here it goes. Yes, so I've launched the poll. I would request everybody to participate in this. You have three options. How has remote work impacted your overall job satisfaction in 2023? So I see people answering. Okay. Most of you have answered. A few more to go. Please do that. It will help us also understand the kind of, insights you would also want. So your participation is very appreciable. Okay, so I think we do have an average with us where we can see that it's positive and neutral for most people. And for a very few, just 11% that I see is negatively. Otherwise, 46% feel that it has positively impacted, and 43% feel like it's neutral. So now that we have that result with us, I'll now end the poll. Thank you so much, everybody, for participating in this. Okay, cool. Now that we have this Vikas with us, my question would be, we have seen how people think that, okay, it's positively also impacted, it's sort of neutral. And there is also a small, ratio of people who feel like it's sort of negatively also impacted. So now that we see remote and hybrid work models are continuing to evolve. It's not the way we started there. In When we started it, we had just like what, two platforms, three platforms. Now we have some multiple hundred platforms to collaborate on, hundred things to engage us with. So what strategies would you recommend organizations to take on to enhance the virtual experience of these employees who work from home or who are remotely working? And especially for the lot that we have here, who sort of feels that, okay, it has also negatively impacted their experience. So what do you suggest? How does an organization sort of rectify that? What strategies can we bring on to have good virtual experience?
So, first of all, thanks to the audience for such an interesting insight, because I think I was expecting lower result on the positive, and I think so high shows, that it's working out for people, right? And if we take majority, neutral and it is working out. Neutral is also good, it doesn't matter where you are. Nothing has become positive or negative. Work is happening the way it is, right? But when I see organization strategy, just twist this question to a DI perspective also, because that's kind of indirectly linked to this. What is your thought process about people? And at some point of time, I did ask some managers in the organization, what do you think about work from home? And they said that, in literal words, people thought they would talk very high about work from home, but eventually they thought people would do masti at home. And I need to micromanage to see if the person is working or not. What I did was we brought our attention for such people to the office. If a person is sitting right across you in the office, but not focused on the work and focused on something else on the screen, how well you are managing the productivity from that angle, right? So I think this is a mindset from an input to an output, micromanagement to macro management, and a lot of other things which I'm going to talk about. But I think the first shift is in terms of trusting the people that they are being hired to deliver the output that they have been given, the task that they have been given. Now, if you don't have that trust, then this model or any other model doesn't work. But what you feel very satisfied is the person sitting across you is working, right? Because just that person is sitting across you. And what if you are not there, right, in the office? I think lot of organizations have worked towards building people, managers to start thinking differently. That thought process has to change. And that's the first change in bringing the output of people. And when you said so many percentage of people are talking positively, definitely depends on how their managers are treating them, right? My second question comes on technology itself, because at certain point of time when we started this, we had to put our cameras on, we had to be there in a certain way on the screen. I think tremendously organizations have evolved out of it. And today, when I see my own organization, we are not mandating anybody to switch on the cameras. We are only focusing on the content of the voice and the screen which is presented. I'm telling you, my attention to detail has gone up by about 40 to 50% on the content of the meeting. Suppose camera was on, I am just looking at people, how the one is feeling, how one is smiling. Yes, there is an exchange of emotions, right? But that is also diverting me from the subject, right? So plus, switching off the camera eases out people, with the bandwidth, because if somebody has a bandwidth issue, some other issues, person can operate the way person want, as long as the meeting is conducted with complete course of what is it intended for, is working. My third point is flexibility means that people should take best use of the technology to get the hurdles out. And when I really see the increasing traffic, and I was actually traveling to Gurgaon, and in the evenings it takes about 2 hours to come back. And if that time you could go and spend with your family, I would say that if you're not working, spend with your family, friends. There's an orbit of life, right? You work is one part of it. There are other orbits which are part of it. And if work life can improve, if your own personal life can get enriched, needless to say, you can spend 2 hours walking or doing some healthy exercise and give that value to your life. Why not bring a virtual scenario? And I think organization as a strategy should think about this piece, right? And start looking at people's work life and people's enriched life today compared to what they were earlier. Now, there are flip sides which people pointed out, that timings are not followed. Sometimes meetings are made ad hoc at odd hours. I think there's a responsibility that we carry towards all individuals. I always ensure that I'm asking people about, are they free during that time, and they have a right. And then we always plan meetings in advance, right? We try to do that. Unless there's an ad hoc call, we can do it a call and close. There's a very interesting anecdote which came in from one of the organizations I was interacting with. In terms of strategically, they have depositioned the timing of meeting. Like every meeting is fixed either half an hour or 1 hour, right? Normally you'd see. A meeting will never be fixed for 35 minutes or 37 minutes or 40 minutes. Now, eventually you see every meeting ending in that half an hour or 1 hour, while the meeting may just require 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 20 minutes. Now, very beautifully, the organizations, I was talking to the leaders of the organization, they said that we crafted the flexible way of ending a meeting. When the objective is set in the beginning of the meeting, that is over, we come to a common consensus and decision. We switch off the meeting. We don't complete the complete tenure of the meeting in time. And this has really made things, those collapsed timings have really culled out a a chunk of time which is available with people for rest of their work, right? Rather than fixing meetings only for 30, and it could be a maximum 30 minutes, but the time utilized to come to a consensus and decision is this. A lot of coaching is being done in this area. So strategically coaching in terms of making how to make a request, how to make a proposition, how sharp you can make a proposition, you can get sharper output and close the meeting. So I think a lot of work is happening into sharpening those conversations. I'm again not anti of physically meeting. I'm just trying to call it out as a people and culture leader, because that also exchanges a lot of energy, including a good coffee sometimes. But when we look at the scenario of people's work life, and if it can improve people's life, and for an organization build a good talent base, why not strategically change things and transform things, align your managers to have sharper conversations so that you can handle virtual meetings much more effectively, and probably decide a hybrid kind of mode where you could meet once a while and do remaining virtual interactions on the web.
Sure. Thank you so much for this. I think, yeah, definitely. When we say virtual experience, one of the major factors is how, your rapport or how your manager is, sort of guiding you. When we see a lot of micromanaging, okay, every 5 minutes, have you logged in? Have you done this? Have you done that? So it's like, that's where trust factors comes in. The employee would feel like, okay, this person doesn't trust me enough to complete my work, or they don't trust me enough to deliver the results. So if there's a lot of micromanaging, of course that would negatively impact. And be it in virtual world, it happens a bit more, as you said, that in physically I can see that person there in his cabin working. Now I don't know if he's working or not, but he has showed up to work, so I'll consider that. But in a virtual world, you don't know what's happening. So definitely there's a lot of coaching that has to be done for the managers, so that they don't provide a negative experience to the employees themselves, that okay, there's a lot of micromanagement, there's no trust, there's no that collaboration, there's no again, that the trust factor is missing. So that negatively impacts. And other thing that you talked about, how when we are in a virtual world, or it's remote working, it also gives you work life balance. Like if I have done this work, I have some time at hand, without rather than being stuck in traffic, I would utilize it to do more productive work rather than just sitting idle and waiting for the cars to move along. So that is there. Of course, third is, of course, you talked about how it is very important that a meeting, when we set up a meeting, we wrap it within that time, and not just make it okay, go on and on with people switching on the cameras and asking them to do this and that. But see, this is something which is very, which is bare minimum. People would feel okay, this is something which is very normal. Yeah, why are we discussing about it? But in reality, these are the small factors that majorly leave an impact. When you feel like, okay, there's no, there's a lot of suffocation from the leaders, there's no proper strategy planning, they don't trust enough to work from home, they will immediately call for a meeting anytime during the day and ask us to, okay, be presentable, join. So that impacts. And it's important, I think. The major factor, any I think the manager plays a major factor here when it comes to virtual experience. If you have a good guide, mentor with you, you would have a better experience. But of course, having said that, there's a lot of more things that the HR teams can do a lot of, engaging activities, virtual experiences only. Maybe we could do a virtual, quiz session, or virtual, or we decide to meet up one day, have some, there are these different clubs, reading club, sports club, we could meet up, catch up. So even if you're not working, you're going to office every day for work, but you are meeting for other, like team building activities. That enhances. So thank you for
Just,
that.
just adding that the bias, the managers who have bias towards being present and who have less trust in people, right, are not able to extract the benefit of virtual working. While they need to be coached and brought to that level that they start trusting the people. And sometimes we trust people when people are present in front of us, and that's a bias we carry, right? So I think that is something which has to be, it's a very big task of a people and culture leader like me to transform the mindset of a manager, to remove that bias and
Definitely.
develop that trust in people.
Definitely. As you rightly mentioned, we have seen a lot of, some report I was reading from Harvard Business Review, where it talked about that some 67%, again, I'm not sure of the particular percentage, but majority of the respondents in that survey said that how their manager treated them was one of the major factors why they left an organization. Because when we say that, okay, I'm associated with an XYZ company, it's not the founder who I'm directly in touch with every day for my day-to-day tasks. It's my manager. So being a manager, it puts you also, you have a lot of responsibilities on your shoulder, and it's important you give an environment to your employees to make them feel valued, make them feel connected, make them feel like, okay, they have also done something good without micromanaging them at every level. So thank you for that, Vikas. I'll just move on to my next question. We talked a lot about trends, the basics of it. Now, we when we say employee experience, and we talked about how the meeting should be there, or the role of managers there, the role of leaders, organizational leaders. Now, I wanted to talk about how L&D, when we talk about learning and development or talent retention. When we say talent retention, there's a lot that comes from L&D also. Like if you are providing them with good L&D opportunities, an employee would want, one of the major, one of the factors why an employee would want to stay is because you are constantly giving them opportunities to upskill themselves, reskill themselves. So when we say employee experience, what are the kind of strategies that you see in 2024 that organizations should focus on for L&D to enhance their L&D segment?
So I think one strategy which has already started sparking in 23, and I saw in my last organization which I left, and I'm in the new organization where I'm trying to build, is experiential learning strategy, right? Which is basically helping people to grasp the knowledge, exhibit the skill on the ground, and give them time to exhibit that skill and evaluate that how they are able to exhibit that knowledge to that skill on the ground. I think very beautifully, uh, uh, we had conducted one uh, learning program where we had knowledge given through virtual or physical sessions, and then going down the line and coaching people how to exhibit that on the field by training the managers how to coach them. you know and this is the kind of experiential learnings that people are really looking at. That is one part of the strategy, and it is very important for people to exhibit on the ground, right? And whether it is a manufacturing organization or a sales oriented organization, you always have a customer, right? I always call it that. So in a B2B organization where I'm sitting, we have to exhibit that on the ground in terms of our production, right? So whatever skills are graphed, they have to be brought into live, and your program has to accommodate that. Gone are the days when you had a 3-day program where you went out, had good lunch and dinner, and came back and probably forgot some of it, and some of it you assimilated and took forward. I think it has to be collapsed into capsule based learning program where you have small learning cycles given, and those cycles are exhibited on the ground and grabs, and then go back and take another capsule and come back, prolonged for period even higher than a quarter or 2 quarters, where people keep learning and exhibiting on the ground. Now, all this can be very well supported with technology, and technology is playing its role where people at their own free time can grasp that learning and start exhibiting on the ground. And your technology can really guide you or anybody in the organization, their supervisors, learning managers, how the progress of everyone is going at the touch of the button, right? And people can go easily at their own pace. There are quizzes to test that how they have been grasping the knowledge and how they have been moving ahead, constantly guiding them through technology, how the progress is happening, and then going on the ground and exhibiting that and comparing the score. So I think something like this is going to carry forward as a learning strategy where you need to have a capsule based learning and also taking feedback from people, not in terms of their experience of that program, but how that program is impacting them in their work output is the feedback which comes after, say, 2 months of actually developing practical learning on the ground. So I think a lot of hybrid mode of technology versus physical interactions will evolve to create programs as such. I do remember attending a program last year where it was spread over 7 weekends, and it every weekend was a capsule based learning, and then weekdays was the time to exhibit all the practical cases on the ground, and then go back on the next weekend and assimilate it. So such kind of approach is really making sense for people today, because they also realize what I need more. Every medicine cannot be for everyone, right? So you need to customize it to people's taste, and technology helps you to customize that. Another one important strategy is to, before you get into the program, you have an assessment that how people are placed. Everybody is not placed equal. So basis what they need, then the program pace is decided by the technology also. So I think such customized approach through technology is this core strategy of learning and development in the coming year.
Sure, I think we would all agree with that, because what happens, there are a lot of sessions we attend, there's a lot of certifications that we do, and until we actually apply it in our work tasks, it doesn't really help much, right? I could have attended a seminar that talked about how AI is going to transform, say, job screening, right? And then I don't apply it myself, it's not going to help me at all. I'll forget, okay, what I learned, what is not. So it's very important that you talked about how it is, when an organization is providing certain, skill set and certain certifications or seminars on certain skills, it's also important that they give that opportunity to employees also, that now this is the time you apply it. So you know how it is working, and you talked about, not giving 5-star rating to the experience of the program, but giving 5-star rating how you are applying it to your, work tasks. So definitely that is there. And you talked about personalized learning, which is, I think, yes, as you said, technology has made it easier. I think technology is an enabler there, because previously, because it would be in a physical setting, we would not have a lot of opportunities, options. So what we will do, one thing which is for everybody, and one model can't fit all. So now, with the technology, we have a lot of tools with which we can experiment with, and that can customize, personalize the experience for each learner. So it doesn't have to be Vikas's, LMS guide will not be same as Rakhi's. It's going to be different. Because I'll be at a certain level, you'll be at a certain level, my area of interest is different, yours is different. So thank you so much. I think this is a very practical strategy that everybody in their organization, especially the HR teams, should focus on. So thank you for this, Vikas. I think we are approaching the end of this session, but before we do that, I have one last question from my end. Before we can take audience questions, I would now request the audience to put down their questions. If there's any feedback, anything, you can put now. And one last question from me, because we talked about L&D, we talked about talent retention, we talked about virtual experience and remote working, how employee experience has evolved post pandemic. Now, one thing, DEIB, we talked about that. Now, when we talk about DEIB, there's also employee wellness and mental well-being at workplace. There's, in fact, on 26th April, we observe mental health week or mental health day at workplace, something, there's a day actually that's there. Now, do we do a lot of work on that? Do we just share a LinkedIn post on, 26th April, wishing everybody, oh, wishing you mental health day at workplace? Or do we actually create strategies, initiatives for our employees to feel that they are not just contributing to whatever they're assigned, but they're also being taken care of by the organization in terms of the flexibility plans for their physical and mental health? So what do you think in 2024, what key initiatives in terms of employee wellness that HRs or HR teams should focus on?
So, I think it's another a very interesting topic, but I'll briefly take it up in the interest of time that uh, organizations have started understanding the need for talking about mental wellness. First is that because as a person would apply for a leave that I'm not well, right, and I'm visiting a doctor for my fever, and person can also say that I'm not feeling okay today, right? I'm feeling stressed out, I'm burnt out, I'm feeling low. These things should not have biases amongst the people, and I think I'm going very basic on that. Now, if I'm feeling low, it's okay to feel low. Sometimes you can't be always high, and how you elevate people's mood is something that organizations can do. Again, if you can appoint some kind of platforms where people can connect with the psychotherapists, people can get help. Why not? And those could be external parties who can keep everything very confidential. It could be 101, it could be just handled. I'm saying organizations can do wonders by helping that. And I think what leaders should be coached is don't look at volumes. When you look at, okay, I'm doing a mental wellness program, I need 80% attendance. No, we are okay with 2%, 3%. At least we are able to impact that piece. I think slowly and steadily things change. And idea is not to increase the percentage of people who are using that platform. Idea is to make that platform available for people to be able to exercise that control. Senior leaders who belong to different genre need to be very well coached about what conversations they do at the workplace. Conversations create toxicity, right? Which suppresses, mental thoughts of people. And, either they go into depression or they go to, there are always situations lead to them unless there's a clinical thought. Clinical, you can deal through a psychotherapist or the respective specialist. But the creation of certain elements which can be incorporated are some of these which can really be removed if you coach senior leaders in terms of what conversations now need to change, right? You cannot bring the biasness that you carry for years back onto your work in the conversations, right? So avoid using those jingos and lingos which really create issues for people at the workplace. Workplace has to be completely soundproof in terms of what your bias and old, primitive thoughts are. I think that sensitization session is very important for you to kickstart this, area of getting into mental wellness of people. Again, I relate mental wellness to physical wellness also. And there could be various agendas like we started our cricket team or we started our, athletic team. Some kind of physical work, if can incorporate in the workplace to an extent, or make it a habit over the weekends that people could get together and get into physical exercises, can also help in your mental wellness. And organizations can give those platforms for people to get into those physical exercises, try to create more, areas or clubs where they can do more physical work, so that, more and more, that more you sit on the digital technology, you can cover that up with going physical through the physical route. So these are some of the ways that we look forward to organizations moving ahead with mental wellness in inceptions.
Sure. Thank you so much for that, Vikas. We definitely agree with you that there has to be certain initiatives which should not be just implemented for the sake of it, but also be followed up, taken feedback with the employees if they feel okay. This is something that is helping in their mental wellness or employee wellness initiatives that we are doing, even if it's impacting or not. We can't, as you said, 80% attendance is not required. What matters is that we are able to create an impact. We are able to create a good difference. So where organizational leaders have to take a lot of initiatives and have that done. So thank you so much for for sharing all the insights today. This has been a wonderful conversation. It was a pleasure having you here. All the insights that we shared. I think what I liked the most about this session today was the practicality of it. It wasn't just okay, this is a tool and this is how it has to be done. There has to be a lot of when we say this is the session on this topic, we often just talk very bookish language. There's a lot, because that is something that you can get on internet as well. I just have to Google, tell me strategies, and here are the top 5 strategies. What is more important is how do we implement that at the ground level, because that is different for everybody. So thank you so much for sharing all the information. Loved having you here. We just have a few questions from the audience. We'll quickly take that up and we'll wrap the session now. So first question is from Dharani. What is the best way of L&D in remote setting in an IT industry? So what would be your take on that?
See, I would say that yes, the technology gives you capability to work industry to industry. When you talk of an IT industry, there could be tools which can be easily learnt on the system and also can be exhibited on the ground through the system only, right? But I think my whole core philosophy is that when you learn, you have knowledge, you have skill, and you have ability to do a particular job, right? Knowledge is gained through, the tool that you use is a course, right? Skill is something that you say how you implement that knowledge on the ground, right? Ability is when you practically exhibit that on the ground. I think it applies to IT industry. I was in the agro tech industry, it applies there. Now I'm in auto industry, it applies there as well. So I think if you keep the basic framework intact, whether it is an IT industry or off industry, it could be on the ground. But yes, last leg will change, where in an IT industry, probably you can collaborate on the screen and do it. In other agro industry, you have to go in the field and do it. But again, that philosophy of knowledge, skill, and ability has to be intact.
Definitely. Thank you so much for that, Vikas. I hope that answers the question for you. Moving on to the next question from Ruby. We always try to create better employee experience, but there are situations where HRs have to do many follow-up with employees. Now, how do we make this better?
First is co-creation. There's nothing called HR philosophy. It's co-created with leaders, and always catch hold of leaders to co-create that. You spend more time there. You spend less time in implementing it and pushing it across. Always create a pull factor out of it rather than pushing it across. Whenever things are being pushed, that means it's for me, it's not for you. Eventually, it's going to die down, right? So, co-creation is first philosophy that you use. Second is always pause and take feedback of people. Is it making sense for you? Can we take the route? Can we change the route? Can we change the course? Can we change the pace? I think that really helps in also bringing in the philosophy of co-learning any new phenomena, right? Third is, I think people always like to do what they are, what they feel is part of the larger goal. I think when we define the goal, we make it as a part of our large component, a chunk of a part of our broad audacious goal. It works towards organization success. It also works towards people success, and everybody is able to relate to it. Some of these could help in establishing yourself much better than pushing your case across to employees.
Sure. Thank you, Vikas. I hope that answers the question. I agree with you that, it never could be a push situation until you, tell the employee also this is how you benefit, or the employee thinks that, okay, this is how it is going to impact me. they'll obviously, will cooperate. So thank you for that. Moving on to the next question from Ankita. How can we manage work-life balance? I think this is more in terms of employees. So any
Uh,
suggestions from your end?
I think I in I ask people, what is your passion? Where did you go for a holiday? I think such questions like this enhance people's thoughts about, you know, uh, that I need to go for a holiday. I need to take a break. Stop encashing your leaves. Leave encashment should be stopped. Leaves have to be taken. Holidays have to be taken, right? No encash, because the moment you encash leaves, you're getting a component of money associated with that, and people would, So I think such policies can help. Every manager should give time, personal time to people to spend with their family. uh, there's a me time, right? Give to people, spend time. And I think there should be a time given for people's passion. Like I mentioned in my conversation about somebody wanted to go for a Ladakh bike for 22 days. And there could be other cases where, the employees would like to do their own thing. I think they should be given that opportunity, and you should encourage them to go through their passion outside work. Nothing else is work life. This is work life, right? When you have your me time and when you have your work time.
So, thank you, Vikas, for that. Moving on to the next question from Harish. I know that we already have something planned at 5, so we'll just quickly take this one question. And if there's any other questions pending, attendees, you can always write back to us, or we'll get the insights for you. So from Harish, the question is: HR professionals were always known working with humans, and that's a uniqueness and significant part of their responsibilities. But as more we get dependent upon technology, won't that affect the relations of HR with employees at workplace, as technology might become barrier? So, how do we have the perfect combination of human and people process culture integration that we talked about? No, so how do we do that?
So technology doesn't have emotions. Humans have emotions. Bring your emotions out. Uh, I think compliment people, appreciate people for what they do. Uh, Give their special cheer to them, even when you're connecting on technology. Bring your emotion out to them. I think that's the basic way of bringing that balance. Uh, the way you're moving ahead with Gen Zs, and I think there's another Gen I heard yesterday ahead of Gen Z.
A lot of Gen
Now,
Z gens coming in now.
yeah, so I am fully aware that technology is nowhere going to go. It's only going to enhance. What is not going to go away is the need for human emotion. I still need to, I like people when they say, Vikas, are you okay? Are you fine? Because you're doing well, because you're looking good. I get touched by these words. I think what stops us to get closer to people by these also, getting human emotions exhibited while using technology can really balance this out. But we have to constantly practice that and not forget about it, because if we disbalance it, it's in our hands.
Definitely, definitely. So technology is there, but it can never, take away the human touch. The
100%.
human, because of course, technologies don't have emotions. They can't be empathetic. They can't understand your feelings. Your human boss can. So, that human touch will never go away. We just have to sort of live together with technology, see how technology can enhance things. But of course, it is never going to take away your responsibility as an HR. So
Sure.
thank you, Vikas, for that. Just one last question before we go, because I think this is a question that a lot of people would want. So just last question, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Okay. So this question is from Jyoti. We talked a lot about how the role of a manager impacts employee experience at the most level, right? So what are the coaching methods that you would recommend to a manager for people management?
See, the coaching method which worked with me is help people to address the problem, uh, but let them do that, right? And uh, you know, you manage the conversation in such a way that people are able to do that work well while they do it themselves, don't do their job, right? Help them to do their job, but don't do their job. Do regular reviews. I think increase the number of reviews you could have, right? Coach and mentor them that they can do it effectively, and keep measuring the success for them. Keep acknowledging them for those short successes that they achieve, right? And then help them, see the larger picture with that goal, right? That's the job you can do, and still help people to, step from one way to the other. I have personally coached a lot of people, and today a lot of people who worked under me are at good positions with great organizations across the world. I feel so delighted. I had worked with them, and without taking the credit all on me, but I'm saying that I feel delighted that, at least they worked with me and today they are at that position. I think I always try and exemplify the success to them, and then help them go through that journey as an experiential learning for them, and then evaluate that, and keep coaching, keep guiding them towards it. Yes, you have to keep motivating them so that they keep learning. Motivation is a very good tool every leader can use, and you can have multiple ways to motivate people, right? But motivation is one tool. You can really help people to motivate to learn faster and better.
Great. Thank you so much, Vikas. My personal answer was this, favorite answer was this, because you talked about, it's very important that without taking away their, like without doing their job, you have to tell them, okay, this is how it is done. You have to be patient with them, you have to trust them in the process, you have to give them regular feedback so they don't feel at loss, that okay, I don't know what's happening and all of that. So thank you so much, Vikas, for that answer, and for this wonderful conversation that we had today. Lovely having you here, and all the insights that you shared today on employee experience. I'm sure everybody here on call would implement that at their stage, at their level in their organizations. So thank you so much for taking out the time and doing the session. And thank you to our attendees as well who participated, put down their questions, participating in the poll. And if you still have any more questions, you can connect with us on greytHR community. You can see it on your screen. It's a community where we have industry experts who can guide you with any questions that you have, related to labor laws, related to HR trends, related to how technology is going to transform the world. We have experts there, and you can put in your questions there. So yes, that was all from our end. If you have any more questions pending or any feedback that you might have, you can write to me on rakigautam@greytip.com, and we will get back to you. Also, as promised, the recording of this session will be available on our YouTube channel, and will also be emailed to all of you with our speakers' details as well. So if you want to directly connect with him, have a chat, I'm sure he would be happy to. So again, thank you so much, everybody, for joining in. Thank you, Vikas, for joining us today.
Thank you. It was my pleasure, and wish you have a great day ahead. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.